Hey, what's up, everybody? So, I'm going to talk a little bit about um, some of the things I've done here recently to the Taro T810 that I own. One of the major improvements that I've done was I got rid of the 5D2 gimbal and purchased a 5D3 gimbal. Um, It seems to be a ton better as far as how smooth it operates. Um, it's a considerably better piece of equipment. Um, One of the major improvements to the gimbal system, of course, is that it's a brushless setup instead of the old servo-driven. So what I'd like to do is kind of go over how I've kind of currently got it set up, the things that I've done to the radio here, some of the programming features I've done, and talk a little bit about the two-man operation that's planned, or not necessarily planned, but I needed a means of flying this with a two-person team versus a one-person team in some instances. So, without further ado, this is the Taro 5D3 gimbal. It is a full 360-degree gimbal. It is a little bit lighter in weight than the previous gimbal that I owned. I was a little concerned with what the weight difference would be, but in all actuality, the way that I've got it wired up and configured, I eliminated 500 or 600 grams just by eliminating the two extra batteries that I was using to power the shutter release mechanism and the gimbal itself. So now I've got it wired in off of the 22.2 volt setup that runs this. Now I do have it. I do have this Castle Creations BEC. See if I can get you a little bit of a better view of that real quick. This right here, see if I can zoom in. Bear with me here while I'm repositioning the camera. So this is the Castle Creations 20 amp BEC. I've got it stepped down to where everything is running 6 volts, 6 or 7 volts, I can't remember exactly. But primarily that's going to be used for the video transmission because it won't handle the full 22.2 volts or 25 volt system that I fly off of, which is a 6S setup. So the gimbal itself runs off of anything from, I believe, 3S up to 6S, I believe. I could be wrong. Please don't quote me on that. But right now I'm just in the midst of reconfiguring some stuff on it, repositioning things to get the CG right where I need it to be. Other than that, you know, it's a pretty basic setup. She comes in at, let me think, 7,600 grams, 7.2 kilos, full out. I think that's roughly where I calculated it to be, or where I put her on the scale. So, and that's with the batteries I currently have on it. So, you know, I go with the larger batteries, the 10,000 milliamps, because right now I'm currently running the 6,600 milliamp multi-star 10C batteries. I'm really considering running something else. I'm not sure I fully dig the voltage sag that these batteries have. They do have a severe voltage sag in them. They don't hold their voltage true throughout the entire flight time, throughout the entire capacity of the battery itself. I'll typically end up using approximately about half the capacity when the voltage gets to the predetermined limits that are set within the NASA V2. I'm looking for some different higher quality batteries to replace those. So haven't flown it yet since I put the gimbal on. It's been incredibly windy here as of late, so that's the perils of living in southwest Kansas area. You constantly fight the wind all the time, but finding a calm day during the summer is almost few and far between. So one of the things I'd like to talk about, that I mentioned before, was reposition this camera here. They are the two radio setup. Let the camera focus. Yada yada yada. Here we go. So I'm going to go ahead and power this thing up. Mind you, I've got the Tyrannus X9D Plus.
Welcome to OpenTX.
So this is running firmware
Safety switch engaged.
2.19, 2.18, I believe, 8.9, something like that. I had to upgrade the firmware to accommodate the modification that I did to this. And this modification entails running a little box called the linker. Let's see if I can get that in focus. Yep, there we go. It's called the linker. Basically, there is a receiver built into it. It can be one of two receivers that are specified on Aloft Hobbies is where I purchased this thing. So you go onto their website. Let's get that in focus. There we go. Go onto their website and you can purchase the whole kit for $85, I believe, with the receiver, linker, and the necessary module for this FreeSky module that coincides with it. So let's see if we can get her zoomed in a little bit. No, probably not. So in order for this thing to work, you have to have this FreeSky module because it
1 minute.
It does use a FreeSky receiver in the linker box here. So yeah, it does use a FreeSky receiver. Now the way that this works is in the setup. Let me see if I can get around here. Let me get this thing set up for you. There we go. So if you go in the menu, let's see here. No, that's not it. Go there, and then go to there we go. So this nice little thing here, this master trainer port. So basically what the linker box is a it's a buddy box system. So what this allows me to do is swap which transmitter actually controls the gimbal at any point in time by selecting whether or not the linker box is actually active or not. If the linker box is active, the second transmitter has control of the gimbal. If the linker box is not active, then transmitter 1, which would be the X9D, has full control of the gimbal. And I want to demonstrate that to you right now. So what we'll go ahead and do is we'll go ahead and power up the Turn G9X here. So there are a few little glitches I've noticed with it. So one of the things is the X9D will glitch to the point of where it throws the gimbal into some bizarre state. So it'll cause it to move all about, and I haven't quite figured that problem out yet. But anyway, so what I want to do is I want to go ahead and put this in. Let's get this back over here to where you can focus. We're going to go down to Master S-Bus
Mode 2
module.
selected.
So now what this allows me to do, oops, there, Master, needs to be in Master S-Bus module. Let's see if we can get that focus. Come on, there we go. Master S-Bus module. That's the mode it needs to be in. So by having it in that particular mode, I want to go ahead and power this up.
0 volts.
Now the X9 or the Turn G9X has full control of its gimbal. So now the second transmitter has full control of the gimbal. So
24.3 volts.
it's a pretty cool setup. I wanted something that was fairly quick. Now, if I wanted to, say, I didn't have a flying partner with me on a particular shoot, all I'd have to do is deactivate this, deactivate
24.3 volts.
that, the Turn G9X, and what we'll do, go back to Master Jack. Now this radio, the Free Sky
24.3 volts.
X9D, has full control over this, over the gimbal. So it's a pretty neat little setup. I'm glad I found this option. You're probably wondering why I'm running a
24.3 volts.
Sony camera on this. Currently it's the only filming camera that I have, and it's an APS-C sensor, so it's a crop frame sensor, but it works very, very well for shooting video.
24.3 volts.
Now, that kind of explains the gimbal setup. I'm still working on shutter because this gimbal was set up for a Canon. Your normal controls
24.3 volts.
that the gimbal itself have don't work. Some things do, some things don't. I'm still trying to do some research on that, but regardless of that, it still works. I had to
24.3 volts.
modify the mount a little bit to get it to where it would made up to the Sony, but other than that, it works okay. I'm running a camera remote for shutter control. I'm looking at running some other form of
24.3 volts.
IR type setup for it, possibly, to control video, but really the control of video is not really that important to me at this point. I just wanted stable video when I'm flying, and realistically a brushless gimbal will achieve that
24.3 volts.
if properly set up. Now, the next thing I'd like to talk about is the Lewis script that is currently spouting off the current voltage of the multi-rotor itself.
24.3 volts.
So before, I had Lewis scripts that did approximately the same thing. I run a zagometry to pull the data in from the NASA GPS. It interfaces with the NASA V2. So it actually gives me telemetry based off of that. So in order to get all of that, when I upgraded to the 2.19, I believe, it really screwed up the Lewis scripts. The coding of the OpenTX changed considerably, so I had to finagle it and finesse it to get it to work the proper way.
24.3 volts.
A lot of reading online, a lot of different things, but regardless of that, it works now. So I'd like to show that. It's pretty interesting. Okay. So basically, this is what the Lewis script
24.3 volts.
gives you. There we go. So it gives me battery capacity, number of satellites. Let me get that on the screen to come back up. There we go. It gives me what mode I'm in, and home lock, height, which I'm currently in my garage, so it's completely
24.3 volts.
inaccurate. Now, it gives me battery voltage, which is reading that, and it also gives me my RSSI status. And it also gives me distance away from home point.
24.3 volts.
Now there's a couple things that it could probably give me distance away. It could possibly read that to me, but I haven't really dove that heavy into it because I've got it really working for what I need it to do
24.3
at this point. So in conclusion, realistically, this is pretty much the end of the video. We touched on what type of gimbal to move to, the weight of the whole setup is right now.
24.3 volts.
I shaved about 600 grams off the total weight by just getting rid of batteries alone. Talked about the buddy box setup for multiple transmitters for gimbal operator, flight operator.
24.3 volts.
And we talked about the Lewis script that currently runs on the X9D right now. So, anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. If you haven't subscribed already, please do me a favor. Give the video a thumbs up and
24.3
please like my channel. Thanks.